The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Hello and welcome to the American Veteran. I'm Dale Parrish, your host, and with me is Bud Mendenhall, his co-host. Before I introduce our guest, Bud has an invitation he'd like to read.
The Korean War Veterans Association is looking for a few good members. We hold our meetings the second Saturday of each month at 10 a.m. at the VF Post 857 on the hill at the end of West Main Street. If you've served in the military anywhere during the Korean War or in Korea anytime after the war, you are eligible. So come out and join the camaraderie and socialize with other veterans. Spouses and friends are welcome. Lunch is available after the meetings. We participate in parades, have a memorial service at the Korean War Memorial on O'Day Road, have Thanksgiving and picnics with the Korean community. But more importantly, we have the Tell America program presented to the schools, plus many more activities. For more information, email us at americanveteran@frontier.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. Our guest today is Marilyn Renbarger. She was a member of the Women's Army Corps, and we'll be talking with her this morning, or this afternoon. With us today is Dick Renbarger, her husband. Marilyn, tell us a little bit about the wax. There wasn't any wax where I was stationed, either here in Colorado Springs or in Korea. I understand they was started soon after the start of World War II. Is that right?
That is correct. And by the way, hello, Dale, and hello, Bud. It's nice to see you gentlemen again. I always see this gentleman to my left. The Women's Army Corps was actually encouraged to start by my boss, who was General Eisenhower. He really thought that was a great idea, and it was due to his influence that that idea got started. And I was only one of 120,000 women who served in Korea. So I'm nothing special. I was just one of that many. And in the words of Winston Churchill, it kind of sums this up. It says, in time of danger and not before, women were added to the Corps. When the danger was over and all well righted, war is forgotten and the women are slighted. And we are. Many times women veterans are kind of forgotten about. So, but we know we serve, we're proud of our service, and that's enough for us. So,
how many WACs did you say?
120,000 served in the Korean War.
Gee.
You don't always hear that number, and there's far more serving today, and I salute them. All the lady veterans out there, you have my support.
Yeah, I believe they did away with the Women's Army Corps in '78, and then it became regular Army.
Yes, there were many changes involved to what it is today, but women still have proven that they can serve the military in a perfect, exemplary way, and I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of training you had to take?
Oh, absolutely. I did 9 weeks of rough basic training at Fort Lee, Virginia, and after that was over, my assignment was to go to Paris, France, with the SHAPE headquarters, and that SHAPE stands for Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers of Europe. General Eisenhower was the commander there. it's interesting to note that I had a terrible time trying to talk my parents into letting me go into the service. They were so afraid I'd be sent overseas. And I even had the recruiting officer come out and talk to them, and he told them that there would be no danger of me going overseas because I was too young, and so, well, they'd finally signed it. Well, after basic training, I was sent to Paris, France, and as far as I know, that's overseas. So, but I didn't complain. I was anxious to go, and I spent 10 days on an overcrowded troop ship that we finally landed in Bremen, Germany, and from there, I had to take a train, and I arrived by myself in the wee hours of the morning in Paris, France, at SHAPE headquarters. So I worked on the main switchboard there until one day I got a call from Colonel Schultz. Scared the dickens out of me because I thought, wow, I've done something wrong. But Colonel Schultz said I was being reassigned. I was to report to Marley Coquette, which is the home of General and Mrs. Eisenhower. And from then on, that is where I worked.
That was a thrill right there, I'll bet.
Yeah, it was a great assignment, and Mrs. Eisenhower would call down to my office every morning at 8 a.m. and say she was ready to take her calls for the day. And one day she called and said, "We are going home." I knew then that the General had accepted the invitation to run for the presidency of the United States. I could not release it, although we were bombarded with calls. I could not release that information until it was properly authorized. And then I did tell all the news agencies that, yes, he was coming back to the United States to run for the office of the president.
Did you get to know Ike and Mamie pretty well?
Yes, Ike was a very nice gentleman. I spoke to him one day because he was so influential in the Normandy invasion, and I told him that I had lost a cousin, an only child, and he said that he thinks about that every single day, the many deaths that occurred in that operation, but then he thinks of the many lives that were saved due to that. And so he was just a kind, generous, thoughtful man. One day we couldn't find him, and the Secret Service was just about out of their minds trying to find him. But all he did was he put on an old caved-in hat and an old jacket, and he went off in the woods behind their house called Marley Woods, and he just wanted to take a walk and be by himself.
Sure. He always struck me as being somebody that was...
Yes, he was.
Like you just had described.
He was transferred to Guam, and the ship I was on, after I was transferred off of it, picked him up and brought him to Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, be darned.
And there's another thing that Marilyn didn't mention about the women. They're going to start pushing them into combat. They also are going to put them on subs and the UDT, the SEALs.
What's that?
They're going to put women in SEALs and put them on subs now.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing more combat than they are seeing in Afghanistan. And that's coming.
I'd read about the submarines. Yeah.
General Eisenhower actually had left the Army, and he became the president of Columbia University. It was President Truman that asked him to go back into the Army and take command of SHAPE headquarters. SHAPE headquarters is now in Belgium, I believe, but at that time it was in Paris.
Wasn't he like a governor in Europe, governor over a section and...
Do you mean the headquarters itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a headquarters for 12 different nations. The flags of every nation flew out in front of the building, and it was a small group of every military personnel from those countries.
Yeah. What were some of the things you did with the Eisenhowers?
Well, I would order Mamie's hosiery. She always wore gunmetal was the color that she preferred, and I would set up appointments for her and just check the guest list for people who were coming to different events at the home. So.
Yeah.
Did you live in the house with her? Or same
No, I
home?
lived in my barracks.
In
I had a
barracks,
car take me from my barracks to their home every day. I looked on the schedule one day, and I was on there for KP duty. So, I thought, okay, so I reported to the mess hall, and a few minutes later, a driver came in and said, the car is waiting for you, and so I was excused from KP duty from then on.
I bet that broke your heart. I know anything would break.
Yes, right.
Get you out of KP. Well, let's get back to your training. Where was the Women's Army Corps
At that time,
trained?
it was basic training was in Fort Lee, Virginia.
Is that the only one they had in the States then?
At that time,
Was
yeah,
it?
there. I don't know if they. There's a museum there now. I'd like to go back, but there's other training grounds now. But it was. Everybody thinks it was easy. It was not easy, and there was many times I thought I've made a terrible mistake, and it was rough, and you just had to stand in there and get it done, and.
I think maybe most people feel that way, but after training, you start to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good for you. It's a lot of people really need it. So,
Right.
I was glad when it was over.
Besides your physical training, did you have to take any type of classes? of any-
Absolutely, classes all day long.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What were some of them about?
Military warfare, ammunition, map reading, let's see, conduct, were just some of the classes.
Wow, you
But
took
we had-
everything, yeah.
Yeah, it was no piece of cake. And you had to pass the classes or you repeat basic. A lot of people think if they didn't, if they flunked any of those things, they would be sent home. The government owns you, and you're staying there till you get it right.
Yeah.
So they just had to repeat basic training all over again.
Yeah.
But one of the nicest things about having been in the service is my association now with Indiana Chapter 1. I became a widow, and I met my husband in Paris, France, and we were married there. We came back to the States, and he became chief engineer of Channel 21, which is now Indiana News Center. They brought us to Fort Wayne, and we loved it here. Just really liked it. Unfortunately, I lost him to cancer, and I didn't know whether I was going to stay here or not. But I saw a little thing like you just read, and I thought, well, I'll join that. I have enjoyed every minute. The camaraderie is second to none, and I encourage anyone who has served in the Korean War back when we did, or up till now, to join us. It's a great, great group.
Yeah, I'd like to see more younger ones get in.
Me too.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. What was the most difficult part of your service?
Ray went over.
The difficult part was saying goodbye to my family. I thought I was going to be really tough, but that was hard. I did go home before I went to Paris. I went home on leave, and then it was hard leaving. I did not tell my parents where I was going. I thought, no, they'll call President Truman and raise holy heck. So I didn't tell them. I said I was going to New York, which was the truth, but I was going to board a ship in New York. And so I knew I was going to be far away, and it was a little hard then. But that would be hard for anybody, but you get over that. So.
What's the, was it the three-year
Yes. Yeah.
enlistment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you ever think about staying and retiring?
Yes, actually, we were offered the chance to stay. The general wanted my husband to stay on. He was in public information division of the Army, and he recorded all of Ike's speeches and press releases and all that sort of thing. And we thought about it, and we decided we wanted to come back to the United States and start a family and live a normal life. So
Yeah.
we did not stay in the service.
Really, what did you miss the most?
What did I miss the most?
Other than your family, I mean.
Well, I like the discipline, you know, and I like the respect you got when you wore that uniform. And I felt like I was contributing. I was doing something worthwhile. So.
Did you notice anything, any difference when you come home? Did you feel different?
Yes, I grew up.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, I was no longer the naive kid that left Erie, Pennsylvania on my first trip out to New York to board that ship. The 10 days on the Atlantic Ocean in an overcrowded, smelly troop ship makes you grow up. That was quite an experience all by itself. So, but I encourage it. As I say, I'd do it all over again.
Yeah. We had a couple of young guys on our program a while back. One of them was in Iraq. I asked him what he missed the most, other than his family. He says, well, he says, we had everything. He says, there was McDonald's, there was Burger Chef. He said all of that was over there. Mm-hmm. They don't lack of anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I have never been to General Eisenhower's museum. However, I came across a notice, and if anyone out there knows a World War II vet and you would like to honor him, you can have his name or hers put into the Eisenhower Presidential Library and Museum. You need to write and get a form. The address is the Eisenhower Foundation, P.O. Box 295, Abilene, Kansas 67410. Write and get the form and have that World War II vet's name put there for to be honored forever for their contribution to our freedom.
His car, one of his cars is up to Auburn Museum, I believe, and it's got a statue of him mm-hmm. by it, and a driver. He had a driver by the name of Kate.
Yes, yes. I was called to see if I wanted to be a spokesperson out at that museum. Mm-hmm. However, I was not in World War II. I was in Korea War. So, mm-hmm. but anytime you're with an Eisenhower, they automatically connect you with World War II. And,
okay.
Because he was known for the Normandy invasion yeah. and so on. But I did work for Eisenhower, but it was during the Korean War.
Sure.
Yeah, the Forgotten War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the Supreme Headquarters was in France, you
mm-hmm.
said. Was there any conflict between the military and the civilians?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were not allowed to wear our uniforms into Paris. Not at all. One day we were in civilian clothes, riding in a bus. We were going into Paris. Our bus was stoned with rocks. It was May 1st, the communist holiday, and the bus was shaken from side to side and rocks thrown at the windows, and it was not a pleasant experience.
Yes.
And no, and as I say, the feeling there was that you just don't go in your uniform. They don't like Americans, and of course they could spot an American anyway. So, but that's the way it was.
Pardon?
Look at the shoes. They'd have civilian clothes on, but military shoes.
Oh. Yeah.
I never knew that. That's interesting. They were like that over there.
It seems like there's always been conflict.
Yeah.
That's why there was moved to Belgium.
And if you went into a restaurant, you would look at the menu and there'd be so many francs for maybe a ham sandwich or something, and then you'd prepare to get your money out of your francs to pay that, and it's more. Or see, for Americans, much more. So that price wasn't for Americans.
Yeah. I remember a story about de Gaulle and Eisenhower. De Gaulle says, I want your troops out of here. Give him a time frame. Eisenhower said, well, it's going to take a while to dig them up. There was that many.
Yeah.
They pulled France out of trouble a couple times.
World War I and II.
Right. And there was another story about some World War II gentleman going into France recently, I guess, to visit. And this guy gave him a hard time. And this guy says, haven't you ever been here before? But you ought to know the rules. He says, well, last time I was here, you wouldn't see a hide nor hair of a Frenchman. You know?
Now, the Frenchmen around Normandy, them people are different than what you run across into Paris. They treat the Americans okay.
They knew what it was all about. Yeah. Yeah.
When I got off the ship at Bremen, Germany, an elderly man came up to me and he held his hand up and he had 3 fingers missing. And he said, American did this, American. So I was shocked. I thought, oh my gosh, so he wanted me to know that he was injured and it was my fault. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just didn't go up far enough.
Maybe. Anyway, my children growing up had to hear, well, your mother wore army shoes. So they heard that a lot.
Combat boots.
Yes, yeah.
It's a lot different than Korea there, where they honor you when you go to Korea. No,
Absolutely. The Korean people can't stop saying thank you. Yeah. I mean, they are so grateful. And it's something you never hear from any other nation, although we have helped the world. But I don't know any other country besides South Korea that has expressed their thanks over and over again.
The United States has helped other countries and they've never asked for anything in return.
That's right. That's very true. Yeah.
It's probably why we're in debt.
Yes, absolutely. How do you feel about women going into combat now?
Yeah, there are some women who can handle it, and there are some who can't. So that's how I feel. If they feel like they're up to it, it's fine. They want to work for their country and take on a dangerous assignment as that is why they want to do it. It's fine. Other women just could not handle it. And so that's how I feel.
My son, when he was in the Army, he was over in Germany, and he says when he was going through boot camp, the women went through the same kind of training. I mean, the running and things like that.
Many people think that we have a tea party or something.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's absolutely not. It's not a piece of cake. It's rough. But I think in my case, I not only just like everybody else, I was glad when basic training was over, but I have benefited from my time in the service, and I'm still benefiting by being a member of Indiana Chapter 1. It has brought me, I was a very sorrowful widow, and I think I couldn't even stop crying after losing my husband. We were married 46 years. It's one of those romances, that you never thought was going to work. Well, it did work. And I was brokenhearted at losing him. I joined the Chapter 1 of Korean War Veterans, and I came back to life. I did. I had no idea that a second husband would be part of the deal. That just happened to be what happened. But anyway, it's a great group, and I encourage everyone who is eligible to come on board with us. You'll have a good time.
And the women do a lot in that chapter for us, too.
Oh, gee whiz, yes.
The women in the auxiliary certainly do. Yes, they do. they were kind to me when I went in. I did not know which side I should go with the veterans or the auxiliary, so I hung in with the auxiliary, and they couldn't have been any kinder. They were just, and they still are, the nicest women you ever want to meet in your life. And we have a good time, picnics, parades, have a good time.
Well, tell me, how does it work out to be an Army and Marine in the same household?
Well, it works out fine as long as the Marine knows that the Army is in charge.
You know what Army stands for?
No.
Aren't ready to be Marines yet.
Just humor him. He just
Yeah.
Oh,
But he's quite a thing to handle because he spent 33 years in the police department and 27 in the Marine Corps. So I have my hands full.
Well, I could tell who was boss because I remember the mailbox out there. It had U.S. Army.
oh, that's
And
right.
down
Yeah.
here it was U.S. Marine.
You noticed that, huh?
Yes, I did.
I have to do things like that when I have the chance because usually our house has got a lot of Marine stuff. And I'm thoroughly getting up to having as many Army things in there. But anyway, just,
I just had to throw that in there.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I'd rather about being Kate's replacement.
yes, he does.
Ike's
you brought up
girlfriend in
Kate.
World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Pardon?
Ike's girlfriend in World War II.
Well, did they feed you pretty well?
Absolutely.
Did they?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had wonderful meals. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were very well taken care of.
Good.
Yeah, and no complaints there whatsoever. You know.
You ate in the mess hall when you were over in France, or did you eat at the house?
I ate at the house.
House?
Yeah. But when I worked on the main switchboard, it was a multi-lingual switchboard, and when I worked there for a few weeks, they would bring our meals over to us.
Well, Marilyn, Dick, I want to thank you both for being here. We're out of time. So, to the viewers, I want to thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the program, be sure to tune in every Friday evening at 7:30. And one thing about America is our freedom, and we need to give thanks to our troops every day. They put their lives on the line. So remember, freedom is not free. Thank you, and good night.